Hey, what's up? Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Layers podcast. I'm your host, Kara Christensen, professional health, fitness, and beauty guru. I appreciate you guys being here with this Think Thursday, where we're going to learn some new information about how our bodies work. So let's dive into some wonderful topics. I don't know if many of you might know about this with the circadian rhythm or not, but I definitely have learned a lot of new things since listening to the doctors that are going to join us today. So I really do hope that you find a great benefit. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel on YouTube. That's at Kara Chris TV, or you can go over to Instagram and Facebook, and that's Kara Christensen TV. But if you have anybody that is struggling with their weight management, diabetic, pre-diabetic, fighting cancer, on remission from cancer, or going through a struggle mentally, depression, fatigue, sleepless nights, insomnia, menopause, perimenopause, any of those things, please do share this. Sharing is caring. Give them the information they need that they can start today without a penny extra out of their pocket. For free, they can start battling the things that are going on with them and helping them in recovery into a better, healthier life. So please do share this stream. It's going to be chock full, packed with great information and great knowledge. So I cannot wait to get into this with you. Welcome. Hi, Sad. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. So today we are going to cover what is circadian rhythm, how it affects your weight loss journey, your health journey, your sleep, all of that, and also dive into some products that you must have at your home that you can help towards aiding your health and your recovery, and fat blasters, how to drop that fat fast. And when I say fast, you know I'm going to be talking about fasting. Okay, so let's dive into. Here we go. Starting out with these doctors, they're talking about the circadian rhythm and how the circadian rhythm affects our weight loss journey and our health in general. So a lot of you may not know what circadian rhythm is, and you're going to learn along with me as we watch these doctors talk about how it affects us, how we can get in tune, and what to do immediately starting today. And you don't need to have anything extra to make this happen. It is something you can do right now for free in your own home and start this process today to getting into a better, healthier life. So welcome to Think Thursday. Let's dive into the topics. Welcome, you guys.
Habits are in our culture of being very busy and, work hours that are really long and lots of social rewards for cognitive performance that can go on into the night. But when you look at what is natural for our bodies, there are a few things we cannot reprogram. And one of those is a circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm, even on a lower level, when I fast for 3 or 4 days and I do a strict salt and water only fast, you can still see my sugars go up right before I wake up in the morning, and my body will use them and I start producing ketones. That rise and fall of glucose is a product of your circadian rhythm. And it doesn't go away. It's there. You can't say, but I don't want my circadian rhythm to start this morning. I want to sleep in. Okay, you can sleep in, but your circadian rhythm is still probably going to not let you sleep really deeply or do the things that you would, it's going to follow the pattern of the sun. So when patients say, Doc, can I eat later and then eat late at night? I would say, I like you to look at your circadian rhythm, and most people, that's somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. You can shift it by an hour or so, but it doesn't usually shift much more than that. And I need you to subtract from there. And in your case, I took 12 hours because you had been really stuck for several months. Yeah. To say, I want no food in your stomach for those 12 hours, which really means you kind of got to eat at least a half an hour to 45 minutes before that timer starts, because we need it out of the stomach and into the intestines. That's when we really start your fast. But what happens during that time is that your hormones do reset. your insulin will go down when you don't eat for 12 hours prior to the start of your circadian rhythm. The habits that we end up in our culture say, but doc, I'm not really hungry in the morning. And I would contend that if you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I mean stop, salt and water only, and you did that, just do it for 2 days and watch what happens when you wake up in the morning, is that you do have hunger. So when people say, I just don't have any hunger first thing in the morning, that's a habit that has evolved. And it doesn't mean you have to eat. I mean, I think you have coffee first thing in the morning. I have coffee first thing in the morning, and then I try to eat that one meal around lunchish time if I'm doing that. And it really does satisfy me, and then I usually can make it to the next morning. But I really like my coffee first thing in the morning. When patients come in and say, can I just shift it? I said, if you do that, you're not going to lose much weight. You will still have so much insulin produced because of the timing that you're choosing to eat. And, you know, we have some awesome studies now that show a breast cancer reduction with time-restricted eating, that when you're on a high-fat, low-carbohydrate, ketogenic meal, that we are starting to see some of the other, like, really significant biomarkers that improve, that are correlating to a decrease in breast cancer, a decrease in, I want to say the other one was a colon cancer, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that one. The breast cancer, I know for sure. Anyway, the time-restricted eating has to do with the decrease in the insulin, and that is where they're getting these benefits from. So when somebody says, can I shift it? I'm like, first of all, I can prove it to you by having you check your glucose in the morning and your ketones in the morning. And I'll tell you, that ratio is not going to be pretty. You do have to stretch it to that 10 to 12 hours. And this is, you know, again, trying to guess how insulin.
So what she's saying, in a nutshell, is stretching it, meaning keeping it at least 13 hours of your fast. Like, you need to be fasting at least 13 hours. So from the moment that you ate dinner until the next time you eat, at least has to be 13 hours, which is pretty easy to do if you're just eating your dinner, and then, you know, you're not snacking before you go to bed. You go to bed, you sleep all that time, and then you wake up, and then by the time you have your first meal, at least 13 hours you want to be in between and having your fast state. So it's definitely something that's doable. That doesn't seem, when people say, oh, you need to be fasting for 13 hours, they're not thinking, hi Bo, they're not thinking about calculating that sleep time. They just think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be going all these hours without sleeping. But this is research from so many doctors for so many decades shows the fasting and bodies and fights and strengthens your good cells and takes the bad cells. So I like to fast in the 17-hour, 19-hour window, because those are going to be you're going to reap the most rewards in that space. The 17 to the 19 hours is huge. It's huge in benefit. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to skip along and I'm going to go into Dr. Berg. He put this video out that is absolutely fantastic with knowledge, but also some of the things that you need to keep in mind when you are doing these fasts, to make sure that you're getting the most benefit from it. And like she said, a saltwater fast. So instead of just saying a water fast, so salt has like a sea salt in it, sea salt or Himalayan salt. Cracking that into your water is going to give you the electrolytes you need and the nutrients you need to keep going, to fill your organs, to keep everything hydrated the way it should. Because when you go into these longer fasts and you're not used to drinking all the water, your organs in your body, you get dehydrated, and that's not good. Then you start releasing a stress chemical, and then that cortisol starts breaking down all of the things that you need to start to keep dropping the weight. But if it's fighting, now you're in a stress level because you don't have enough hydration. Now your body is in a different space, and you're not going to lose the weight. So some people have come to me saying, oh, I'm doing the fasting and I'm doing the intermittent fasting or the longer version fasting, which is like 17, 19, 24 hours, maybe into 36 hours, and I'm not losing the weight. And I say, well, how much water are you drinking? And it usually comes down to the water. Because if you are going that long of a fast, you're not drinking enough water, your body starts to go into that anxiety, stress state. It starts to release the cortisol. The cortisol is working against you and fighting against your body inside when it should be releasing all of the things. You have to be the one to gauge that with your water. And what she's saying, in a lot of the doctors who do their studies on the prolonged fasting, is putting salt, cracking sea salt or Himalayan salt into your water when you drink it. And that will give you all the electrolytes and the nutrients that you need to continue fasting so you can continue losing the weight. It really could just boil down to something as simple as hydration. Like, how much water did you drink? That type of thing. You need to drink the water. And when you're drinking the water, don't drink the Kool-Aid. You need to drink the water. And when you're drinking the water, you need to put the salt in it so it can help hydrate you. And you think it's going to taste bad, but it doesn't. It just tastes like, most of those hydration drinks, Gatorade and Powerade, stuff like, they have if you look at the back, the sodium, they have a ton of salt in them. That's what gives you the hydration. But now you're having it without all the added chemicals and stuff. You're just putting the cracked salt in your water. You could put cracked salt, a little lemon, get a little astringent in there. Thank you, Bo. Thank you. Appreciate you for checking. I started late today because I'm troubleshooting. So I was troubleshooting on all fronts, and I was talking to the guy, and he was helping me. I tried to start the stream 4 times, and it kept crashing. So I appreciate you guys and your patience, and thank you, Bo, for checking in on that for me. So I'm going to dive into, I'm going to back this out. I'm going to back out of this and go into Dr. Berg's, the one that I was in for him. Let me go to my page. And let me go. All of the videos that I play here, you guys, are going to be right here on my page under playlists. And then you go over here into podcast info vids right here.
Today I want to show you a very unique way.
This is not it. But the one I want to show you of him that is super vital to this whole process is right here.
So out of anything you could possibly...
Just kidding. That is not it. It is right here.
I'm going to share several...
All right.
I'm going to share several critical things.
Okay. So this is the video that I want to show you guys. I know we talk extensively about the health benefits of prolonged fasting, but what we haven't talked extensively about, even though we've made a little mentions here, is the absolute 100% science-backed studies over decades and decades of how this fasting crushes cancer, crushes it. Your pre-cancer, your ability to roll into cancer, your fight for cancer, getting out of cancer, your remission, to not have it return. You have to incorporate this method. And I'm telling you, not from me, from the doctors that have done these studies and that have followed the studies over time. So here it is. Listen up. If you have anyone that is going through this, going through cancer, remission, or you just want to never have it in your life, pay attention to this. Make sure you do share this podcast. Sharing is caring. And if you care about anybody in your life that you don't want to have cancer, that's going through cancer, that has already been through cancer and in remission, you want to share this podcast. Here we go. Let's dive in.
Things about prolonged fasting that you need to know. Fasting is very simple. Okay, it shouldn't be that hard. Some people overthink it, and those things that are really simple are usually extremely powerful. And that's what fasting is. I mean, it's actually mind-blowing to think that the absence of food, just not eating, can create so many powerful effects. And if you haven't tried it, you should definitely try it. In order to understand the benefits of fasting, you want to compare it to another subject, and usually a subject that would be the opposite, okay? And that would be snacking, okay? If you look at what snacking does to the human body, it is absolutely, positively devastating. In fact, I think out of all the things that you can do that create a negative influence on your body, snacking is at the top of the list because of what it does to insulin. It's a chronic increase in elevation of insulin, which then leads to just a million other problems. I mean, when you think about it, I guess I'll just pull this up right here real quick. I don't think you can ever heal the body with eating frequent meals, okay? We have this idea that you have to heal the body with food, right? Like food is nourishing. Actually, it might be nourishing, but to really heal, you're better off not eating. This idea that breakfast is the most important meal is a total lie. And I used to promote it before I learned otherwise. What about promoting like bedtime snacks for kids, right? Or after school snacks? Or this advice that you should never miss a meal, right? Which I have no idea who started that. Well, actually, I do. It's the snack food industry that started that. And for some reason, this snacking food industry just doesn't like me for some reason. I don't know why it is. So if we look at snacking, snacking actually makes you more hungry because you're eating a small amount of calories and you're stimulating insulin, and that lowers your blood sugar about an hour and a half later. So you're going to stimulate hunger, not stimulate your metabolism, okay? You're going to stimulate hunger when you snack, and it's going to promote more hunger, okay? So, and you're never, ever going to fix hypoglycemia by eating these snacks because it keeps that hypoglycemic low blood sugar thing going on and on and on. In fact, it actually slows your metabolism, or shall I say, slows your ability to lose weight because you develop insulin resistance because you have this constant increase of insulin. And also it's going to promote a need for a nap, okay, right after you eat. You're going to feel like you need a nap. And you may find that eating does reduce moodiness and grouchiness, but soon after, about an hour later, when your blood sugars are dropped, you're going to revert back to this moodiness. Now, in history, a lot of great thinkers have commented on fasting and had something to say about fasting. Hippocrates said, "To eat when you are sick is to fuel your illness." Fascinating, right?
Okay, just to really hammer home, he's giving quotes from people that talked about fasting, some of the greatest historic figures in our history hundreds of years ago. He's quoting on this same topic. That's how tried and true this is. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's simply reminding us of what that wheel is, how to get on it, and remember and feel what we're supposed to feel like in our bodies and our skin as humans, how we're supposed to feel. Some people wildly, and I was probably one of them, have never experienced the amazing benefits that your body should be feeling. The clarity, the focus, the energy, the stability in your mood, all of the senses, all of your body, whole mind, spirit, body union coming together, all from a fasting experience. I mean, from birth, I'm fed and snacked and treats when sad and emotional eating and all of that from birth. So I never got the opportunity to really experience what this whole journey and what my body should actually feel like, what my mind should actually be functioning like. And it's so beautiful when you do give yourself the space to dive into it, and the amount of benefits that your body receives from giving it the space that it needs is astronomical. You can't even, there's no drug, there's no pill, there's nothing out there on the market that can give you what your body can give itself if you allow it the space to do that. And how powerful is that, right? That's so beautiful. So he's quoting people from centuries ago, some of the greatest people that we know about today, and he's quoting what they've said about this same topic. And here it is, this far along, when we've like eaten ourselves literally to death, to illness, to sickness, in the highest that we've ever had in our lifetime. And here we are trying to explain, and these doctors that actually are going against the corporate medical world and saying, stop, don't take those meds. Listen, this is how you can treat yourself. This is how you can prevent getting cancer. This is how you can fight in your cancerous state right now. This is how you can fight and empower those good cells in your body. This is how in remission you can eliminate your chances of getting cancer again. Please listen up. This is how to do it. They're like shouting from the mountaintops. So if you really truly want to start living your best life from the inside out, even healthy people, they call them skinny fat because their body inside is still acting like it's in an obese body because they're not doing it in the right way. They're not getting skinny in the right ways. They're getting treatments, or you're taking a shot, or you're taking the pill, or you're not doing it the way your body wants to do it. So inside, you're still this old, aging, obese person because that's how your organs are feeling. So this is the way that you can actually experience what your body is supposed to function like. And it is absolutely incredible. Anyone that's tried it, I've never had a client, a family member, a friend, or anyone that's tried to do the fasting ever say anything bad other than, whoa, I cannot believe it. Like, I cannot believe the clarity, the happiness, the euphoria, the energy, the focus. I mean, the best sleep, the best, lots of things, if you know what I'm saying, because your body is running in its optimal performance because you're not putting all that food in at all times. So it's pretty powerful. And what do you have to lose other than all the bad stuff, right? So giving it a go is a no-brainer, in my humble opinion. Here we go.
And then we have the ancient Greek philosophers, right? The great thinkers.
This was Socrates. He was
fasting and had something to say about fasting. Hippocrates said, to eat when you are sick is to fuel your illness. Fascinating, right? And then we have the ancient Greek philosophers, right? The great thinkers. Pythagoras required fasting of his students, okay, so they can think more clearly. Plato, Aristotle were advocates of fasting. Ben Franklin said the best of all medicine is rest and fasting. Mark Twain said, a little starvation can really do more for the average sick person than the best medicine and the best doctors. And another very interesting point about your fat, okay, your adipose tissue. Where did it come from? Why did we develop this fat tissue that you hate so much? Well, we developed it from scarcity of food, okay, food scarcity. And what this fat really is, it's an efficient way of surviving. It's a way to make your energy very efficient. And when some people express that they have a damaged or slow or ruined metabolism, what they really have is an efficient metabolism, because now the body can go with just a little bit of food for long periods of time, and that fat is retained. So fat is all about prolonging fuel. It's all about helping you survive when there's no food. So therein lies the secret to losing fat, okay? Can you do it by adding more food, by eating something? No. You want to mimic why we developed it in the first place. We want to mimic starvation, but not really starvation. I want to actually kind of
that's a trigger word.
Clarify what I mean by mimic, okay? The difference between fasting and starvation really has to do with one thing, control. Who's in control? When you're fasting, you're in control. When you're starving, you're usually being controlled by the environment because there's no food. So if we were going to mimic starvation, we're really being in control because we could eat if we want, right? And so the secret to getting rid of your fat really is just to do prolonged fasting, okay? The power of prolonged fasting is just remarkable for your health. So let's go through the 7 critical things that you need to know, okay? The first thing I want to mention is that when you do fasting, you really only want to drink water. You can have tea, you can have some coffee, but you definitely want to take supplements. And the reason.
Okay, so he's about to roll into the supplement list. And, you know, some supplements I feel like, you know, make me a little nauseous. I have to eat them with food. But the ones that he's saying specifically do not. They don't usually have that effect, and they don't need food. Some vitamins and supplements need food to be able to be dissolved and distributed properly. But these that he's mentioning, so if you got a pen and paper handy or your phone on your notes, these are the ones that you should write down, because this is going to get you in your optimal performance for fasting, so your body feels 100% safe to just start losing that weight and using that fat that you already have stored, eating it up and using it as your fuel. If you don't, and you're going these prolonged fasts and you see that you're gaining weight or you're not losing weight at all, you probably have very stubborn insulin, meaning for quite some time, and it might take a little bit, maybe like a week or 2 weeks before you start seeing the needle move on the scale. But if you haven't been obese or overweight for a long time and you're not seeing the scale move, it could just be simply because of your water intake. But these are the things that you can take as your supplements to, if you're starting your journey into the prolonged fasting stage, which is like, 19 hour, 24 hour, 36 hour, 72 hour type fast.
Reason is because nowadays people are so deficient in nutrients. So even though when you go through fasting, your body adapts and becomes very efficient at holding nutrients, and the requirement of nutrients is a lot less, you could still have certain deficiencies of both trace minerals, especially, and other things like electrolytes and even the B vitamins. So I recommend taking your supplements. And the two main categories of supplements I would recommend are the electrolytes and the B vitamins. But of course, if you can also do some other ones like vitamin D, vitamin C, that would be important. What you don't want to do is you don't want to do like branch chain amino acids. You don't want to have little snacks. No, you don't want to do that. And there are some programs that promote that, but I don't recommend that, because what you're going to do is you're going to inhibit this very powerful thing that gives you huge benefits, okay? Called autophagy. What is that? That is a condition. It's not a thing. It's a condition in your body that basically recycles old damaged proteins, okay? So fasting is the most potent trigger to autophagy. And so autophagy is kind of like self-cleaning. It's cleaning up the old dead proteins. It's cleaning up pathogens in the body. It's stimulating all sorts of genes for long-term survival and longevity. It helps to clean up damaged mitochondria, which is directly behind the root cause of cancer. So this is why prolonged fasting is the best solution to cancer. And if you have...
So that's what I was trying to talk about, the mitochondria. That is the space in the gut, these little microbes in the gut. So when you're constantly feeding and feeding, thank you so much, you guys. I'm not blurry today, right? Thank you. When you're constantly feeding those microbes and you're not giving them any space to digest and, rid themselves of all of the things you're sending down, then they stay in a stressed out state. So that's why they say to cure cancer is to not get, your chances of not getting cancer is in the high 80s to 90s if you have prolonged fasting in your life. Like, so many studies geared around so many different types of cancer. It's insane, all of the studies that are out there from decades and decades of different types of cancer and them doing the prolonged fasting, which is, 15, 17, 19 hours each day before you're starting into your eating window. You can even go as long as 24 hours, 36 hours, but it is absolutely incredible when you look at the studies, which these are going to be put into my playlist, and you can go into the playlist on my page, my YouTube page, and look at all of these videos, and they have links into all of their studies. They always put the research and the studies up, and I'll snatch those links up and put it in to my comments too. But you have to, if there's anybody that you know, or even yourself, you don't have to have cancer. If you want to heighten your chances of not getting cancer, even when my daughter had cancer, she was not eating, and we were just like thinking in the mind space of you have to eat. But now, learning the information that we know about the prolonged fasting, she knew what was good for her body when she was fighting it off, which was not eating. And that felt better than when she was eating. And she passed every single test. Every day that we went into the hospital, she was getting stronger, even though she wasn't eating. Every week that passed, she was flying colors, and when she was only eating one meal a day, maybe. And that was like protein pancakes, which is pretty much it. Like it was so incredible to see, even though in our mindset, we thought, oh, she needs to eat to be strong, because that's what we're taught, right? We need to eat. You need to eat to be strong. You need to eat to do this. You need to eat when you're feeling sad. You need to eat for all of it. Everything's eat, eat, eat. And that's keeping us sick. And when our daughter had cancer, she went into fasting in her own state, in her own space. She wasn't eating and she was getting better. She wasn't eating and she was killing it with her when they were taking her blood work. She wasn't eating and she was crushing cancer that was in her body and healing at rapid rates from not eating. And we didn't know it at the time, but now learning about all the research and all of the studies on our own, it was the fasting. It was the intermittent fasting, and it was the autophagy her body was going into. It was her cells getting locked down like Fort Knox, the good cells, and then her body swooping up all those bad cancerous cells and feeding it to the good cells, and the good cells getting more empowered and stronger, and the bad cancerous cells dying off at rapid rates. So she was flying with flying colors, passing all her tests from the fasting. The thing that we thought was damaging her was actually empowering her. And she knew that at her little 4-year-old stage, her little 4-year-old body, just fighting it off from not putting more of the toxic foods in her body. It was impressive to learn about it and then to look back and see how we were thinking about it, but learning the facts about cancer and the cancer cells and autophagy, which is what your body goes through after not eating for 17, 19 hours. So it's really something to actually pay attention to. It's not just me here talking about whatever. It's me trying to tell you, look, you don't have to go through that suffering thing. And if you are in that suffering thing, here's how to get out of it at a more rapid rate. She beat that in 6-month time and it never returned. I mean, incredible. Unbelievable.
I've not seen my videos on 2 amazing success stories with cancer, like stage 4 cancer. I'm going to put those down below, but it's very.
I'm going to post those up too. These are people that are diagnosed, like our daughter, stage 4 cancer, stage 3 cancer, diagnosed, right? They went into this whole fasting journey and then went back in for their checkup. 0 cancer. Hearing? 0 cancer. After diving into the prolonged fasting, diagnosed with cancer, stage 4, stage 3, going in, and they don't have cancer anymore. Like, if that's not a powerful, true testament, God didn't build our bodies to be eating all the time. It's feast and famine. That's what our bodies are built for. We're giving ourselves cancer from the foods that we're eating and constantly eating them. So of course it makes sense to reverse the cycle, is to let our bodies heal. And the way to heal themselves is to stop putting all the toxins and the stuff into our body and letting it truly heal and nourish itself. It's so powerful, you guys. It's so powerful. Let me back it up a little bit. We've watched it with our own eyes with our daughter. It is absolutely powerful.
To cancer. And if you have not seen my videos on 2 amazing success stories with cancer, like stage 4 cancer, I'm going to put those down below, but it's very powerful. So autophagy is a condition where you're recycling like damaged protein. I'm talking about like amyloid plaquing that's involved in Alzheimer's. I'm talking about the damaged protein involved in chronic disease, like in your eyes, like from diabetes, from chronic inflammation. And by the way, when you start doing prolonged fasting, you can just erase any inflammation in the body. And it's amazing for autoimmune type conditions as well. So we're recycling damaged proteins, not just your muscles, but proteins involved in the enzymes, all the different metabolic pathways, the things that are damaged. It cleans all that up. So just make sure you do your water, a couple other things like tea and coffee and your supplements, but nothing else, okay? The other thing I want to bring up is the amount of water. I would recommend at least 2.5 liters of water. Now, there are dry fasts, and that's a whole different thing. But for most of you watching, I don't recommend you do that. Do a water fast. So you're basically drinking a good amount of water. What's interesting about doing a fast, your body will make its own water out of fat, but that's for another video. I just recommend you drink enough water. And the reason I recommend you drink water is when you start fasting, boy, you just dump your glycogen, okay, your stored sugar, and you're burning up the sugar first. And then with that is the release of a lot of fluids, because you have a tremendous amount of water that's tied in with this stored blood sugar in your muscles and in your liver. So you're going to get rid of a good amount of fluid initially. And with that becomes a loss of electrolytes. So you want to put back in those electrolytes. Probably the biggest risk of doing these fast, okay, is when you're doing them without electrolytes, because you can create a lot of problems with your heart. You can faint. You can even have heart attacks. Why? Because you're...
And what he means by electrolytes is salt, any kind of essential sodium like that. The sea salt, if you do have heart issues, Bo, I know you mentioned that, sea salt and Himalayan salt are not catering to that. It's the ionized salt that it's, the old school salt. Himalayan salt, sea salt, those are essential vitamins and nutrients that your body is comfortable with. So it doesn't act the same as some of those fake or processed salts, tampered with salts.
You're basically depriving your body of key electrolytes. And realize that sodium chloride is also part of electrolytes, okay? So you need salt and other electrolytes. If you feel weakness in your muscles, that is an indication that you need more salt, okay? And of course, I'm talking about sea salt. And with electrolytes, I'm also talking about potassium, magnesium, calcium, things like that. Now, let's go into number 3, refeeding. This is when you start to eat again. Now, I'm not talking about intermittent fasting right now. I'm talking about prolonged fasting. When you're fasting 48, 72 hours, you're fasting 5 days.
Okay, so this is super important because it talks about how to come out of that fast, how we talked about doing the 36-hour fast for optimal benefit, physical health benefits, and mental health benefits. The 36-hour fast is absolutely incredible for cancer, pre-cancer. You're going through chemo right now. You're on the other side of chemo in remission. You're trying to get healthier, stronger, build up your immune system. It is a full body immune system reboot. That's the 36-hour one. The 36 hours is so wonderful for you. But when you come out of it, this is how you do it. Because a lot of people come out of it and then they're completely annihilate everything that you just did because they eat improperly. So this is how to do it properly when you're coming out of that 36-hour fast that we all started to do our journey to that this week. So if you didn't catch it this week, we're going to start back into it on next week leading up to Christmas. But it is 100% well worth your time and your dedication into yourself for this process, especially if you have cancer in your family, you've gone through cancer, you're going through cancer now. This is where it's at. But these are the steps you should take on the other side of that fast. Very important information.
you're fasting, 14 days, 21 days, 30 days, whatever. And you could do a 5-day or even a 21-day fast several times through the year and just keep your health at a whole new level. Some of the problems with fasting that I want to bring up is like, you don't want to do fasting when you're pregnant, when you're lactating. You don't want to do fasting if you have anorexia. However, if you have stage 4 cancer or cancer in general, personally, I would do prolonged fasting immediately. So if you're doing a prolonged fast, all right, what do you eat coming off the fast? Well, you want to do something healthy, of course, but you don't want to do a big meal, okay? And you especially do not want to do something with refined carbs and sugar. And the reason is because you're going to create a huge shift of potassium, okay, out of the cell. And 98% of all your potassium should be inside that cell. And so in order to store sugar, you need potassium. So you're going to just suck out this potassium too fast. And you're going to end up with a severe imbalance of potassium in the blood, inside the cell. There's going to be this huge imbalance, and that can create some dangers. So do not do, just regular foods or refined carbs when you come off this prolonged fast. Instead, do a little bit of salad, maybe a little egg, just a little bit of something, and then wait for a couple hours, and then you can maybe have a little bit of nuts and wait for a little bit, do a little avocado, and gradually kind of come out of this, okay?
So what he's saying, when you're coming out of that big fast, the big beneficial fast, the big B, that's what I call it, the big beneficial fast, when you're coming out of it, doing more of a grazing pattern of good foods rather than submerging your system with a whole bunch of the things that you just restricted it from. So coming out of that 36-hour fast and having all of those incredible benefits that now your body is thriving, your microbiome, your whole gut system, your whole system in general inside has pretty much been reset, rebooted. Your immune system inside is at optimal peak performance. Your mental clarity, your focus, your energy, your euphoria, all of those cancer cells that you had just eating up inside if you're going through cancer or you had pre-cancer. I'm telling you, these stories that he has posted, you have to watch them. Go to my YouTube page at Kara Chris TV. In my playlists, it says podcast vids. Podcast info vids is in my playlist at the very top. Go to this video. It's close to the bottom. I'm going to try and snatch those links up. You have to watch these stories. These people with diagnosed stage 4, stage 3 cancer, diagnosed before they start their treatment, because sometimes, like when our daughter was diagnosed, before we started the treatment, there was actually some leeway because they have to be able to get you in and get you, even though you're diagnosed stage 4, there's still, depending on where you're level, there's still some time. So these patients that they took, because they've been doing these for decades, these studies on all different types of cancer patients. And they're saying, let me do these, let me give this a go. Let me try these cancer that are on the brink, stage 4. They'll do anything. Let me try this. And it's intermittent fasting. It's prolonged fasting, the 24, 36, 72 hours, and then testing again for the cancer and it not being there at all. Like it really is like, whoa, it's a wake up for sure. But you have to designate your energy into saying, I don't need to put that in my body. It is a mind control thing. You are against you. It's no one else is more against you than yourself. And saying, I'm not strong enough. I need to have this. I need to have this food. That's what we're programmed to think from the jump, from out the gate. I know my grandmas, my all the grandparents, aunts, uncles, even like friends' parents. If you're hurt, if you're not feeling well, let me fix you something. Let me make you something to eat. Everything is based around your food intake, food, emotional eating, just you need to eat, and then the industry is telling you have to wake up and have breakfast, you have to have some snacks, oh, you need a snack before you have dinner to keep your body going. No. And now that you can fight off cancer, or even when you have cancer, even before you even gotten cancer, to assure that you don't get cancer, is literally in the prolonged fasting. It is mind blowing when you get to the root of it. And it really is just so basic. It's so basic that you almost are like, wow, really? Like, our bodies are meant to do the feast and famine, which is, we didn't readily have food all the time. We were meant to hunt and gather and then rest. Like, it wasn't, our bodies weren't meant for the society that we have. We literally are eating ourselves to death, to illness. It's wild when you just reel it all back in, the benefits that you receive from it, just everything that I've said it a million times, all the benefits, all the things.
You do not want to do a big meal like I did. And that was a really good demonstration of what not to do, because I just pigged out. I ate all this food, ate this huge meal, and oh my goodness, did I end up with a serious digestive problem, tired. And I'm like, okay, I will never do that again. In fact, I need to have other people learn from my mistakes. All right, if you're doing a prolonged fast, and I'm saying probably 72 hours or longer, realize that all these ketones are going to make you pretty acid. It's not a bad thing. It's just that if you're doing apple cider vinegar and you're adding that, you're going to add some more acidity, and that can throw off your pH. And you may find that your pulse rate, it's like a very loud pounding pulse rate in your ear. That's going to make it difficult to sleep because your pH is off, and your breathing might be affected too, like air hunger, like can't get enough air. So just don't do the apple cider vinegar if you're doing a fast longer than 72 hours. You may want to do some baking soda, just a little bit, like an eighth of a teaspoon in some water, and drink that, especially if you start having a buildup of like a gout symptom from the uric acid that goes up. Uric acid is one of the most powerful antioxidants in your blood, and it's a normal thing, but some people that are predisposed to gout might have a flare-up, especially when they are doing this initially. Okay, but normally it's not a situation. And number 5, do the healthy version of the keto. Some people that are predisposed to gout might have a flare-up, especially when they are doing just a little bit, like a
hold on, let me see.
Can't get enough air. So don't do the apple cider vinegar if you're doing a fast longer than 72 hours. You may want to do some baking soda.
Baking soda. Yeah, that's it. So what he's talking about, so you guys know I'm a big advocate of that apple cider vinegar to balance out your pH levels in your body. So what he's saying is, if you're going on that long fast, you have nothing in your stomach, the last thing you want to throw in is something acidic. So doing the baking soda, which is like a little tiny, like itsy bitsy little, like tiny little bit in your water. You can't really taste it. Put it in your water and drink that. That will do the same thing as the apple cider vinegar. And it actually is really comforting to your body, especially if your body, when you're going through these prolonged fasts and your body is trying to detox itself and get all the crap out, you might have a surge of the things that flare up your gout, and what he's talking about, the toxins that are trying to leave your body. Drinking enough water helps it leave your body. If you don't drink the water, there's no way out. You have to sweat it out or pee it out. That's it. And those are the 2 avenues. You can sweat it out of your pores, or from what I'm going to talk about later, which is a product that a must-have product you should have at home. But if you don't sweat it out of your pores, then you should definitely be drinking enough water to pee it out. Otherwise, if you have that gout flare up, this is what you do. You put that little eighth of a teaspoon, which is so tiny, in your water, mix it up. It could be 8 ounces, 12 ounces, however much water you want to put it in. Shot glass if you want to. Take it down and let that work for you, that pH, to balance you back out and help with that inflammation. That's what apple cider vinegar does on a stomach that's got food in it. You drink that apple cider vinegar, or maybe you're gone like 17, 19-hour fast. You're not doing a big 36-hour fast, but 17, 19 hours, you're totally fine before you eat your next meal to have the apple cider vinegar, which is really good for you and cleansing and detoxifying and all that. But the apple cider vinegar, if you can't have that and you're having the baking soda, 1/8 of a teaspoon baking soda, that will help all the inflammation, not just for gout flare up, but the inflammation, you got arthritis or your fingers are getting swollen. You should pay attention to those signs. That means you have too much sodium in your body. You need to flush it out. You need to flush it out. And the only way out is sweat and pee. So you can either sweat it out in the gym or sweat it out in the product I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, or you can pee it out. And that means you need to be drinking sufficient amount of water. 1 gallon a day is what we should be having. But if you can't get to that, he's saying 2 liters, 2.5 liters is enough when you're doing these long, prolonged fasting. So that is very important to know, is that little thing that you keep in the refrigerator is also good for you to drink.
Just a little bit, like an 1/8 of a teaspoon in some water, and drink that, especially if you start having a buildup of like a gout symptom from the uric acid that goes up. Uric acid is one of the most powerful antioxidants in your blood, and it's a normal thing, but some people that are predisposed to gout might have a flare-up, especially when they are doing this initially. Okay, but normally it's not a situation. And number 5, do the healthy version of the ketogenic diet. Don't just go back to regular foods, because first of all, the carbs are going to kind of nullify some of the benefits that you had. Okay, because this whole goal of doing fasting is to get rid of the bad effects of a high carb diet and a junk food diet. So why would you want to go back to that? So I would highly recommend combining healthy keto with the intermittent fasting. Okay, number 6, dawn phenomenon. What is that?
So it's a thing, actually, when you are doing your fast. I've been faulty for it. I know people that are done the fast and they're like, oh, now I'm going to indulge in a burger and fries that I'm done with the fast. You feel like absolute dog poop when you are done eating that food, because your body is so pure and clean. It's like a baby's body inside, like your full reset. So when you go 36 hours and you have a full immuno gastro body inside reset, metabolic reset, and then you put fried and high cholesterol food in your body, like a big burger, cheesy burger with all the dairy and the fried oil and all that stuff, and the high carbs and sugars, and you throw all that onto that baby system. Holy cow. Talk about lights out. Like literally your body shuts down and it's trying to figure out what the heck just happened. It's like dropping a nuclear bomb in there and it detonating. Your belly gets swollen, your brain gets foggy, you can't even think straight, you feel terrible, your mood is gone to crap. It is not good. So when you reach that stage, you've gone through that, if you're one of those people that don't heed the warning and you have to learn your own way, you see pretty quickly why the doctors say do not do that, because it's terrible. It feels terrible. It's going to make you feel terrible. And then you just completely annihilated all of that you just went through for 36 hours without food. And all of the benefits you just gave your body, you literally just took them right back away in a matter of minutes. So it's not worth it.
That has to do with your blood sugars going up, okay? Maybe between 5 in the morning to 8, like all of a sudden your blood sugars go up, and like you didn't eat any sugar. Where is that sugar coming from? Well, your liver is making sugar, okay? There's a problem with insulin resistance, which is still occurring because it takes quite a while to get rid of that condition. It could take months, even up to a year or a little bit longer to fully get rid of that. If you have the dawn phenomenon, all that means is that you have insulin resistance, okay? And I wouldn't worry about it too much. However, if it concerns you, I would go for a long walk and just burn off that sugar. It's not coming from your diet, okay? It's just your liver is making the sugar. And that's a big difference between consuming sugar, all right? You're not going to have a problem. And also that problem is going to go away with time, versus some people might think, oh, fasting is bad because it raised my sugar, so I'm going to stop doing that. That would be a mistake. And so a couple of little things you can do, you can probably take berberine or other things like cinnamon to help reduce insulin resistance. Okay. All right. Number 7, knowing when to break your fast. Now, should you just dive right into a prolonged fast? Well, you know what? You could. You could. Are you going to feel great? Maybe not, especially if you haven't fasted. You're going to have to go through a period of time where your body adapts. And so it might take you several days before you start feeling good. So a lot of people do this gradually and they kind of ease into it after doing, weeks of intermittent fasting. So you could just cold turkey, just jump right in and do prolonged fasting. Okay. However, when you start fasting, what you're really doing is you're switching from the glucose fuel to the fat fuel. Okay. And then also the body then has to make new enzymes for ketones. Okay. So your body actually is running on fatty acids as well as ketones, especially for your brain. Your brain can't run on fatty acids. It runs on ketones. So just think about this. You're not going to feel really good.
So what he just said was so important. Your brain doesn't run on fatty acids that it gets from food. It runs on ketones, which your body produces when it's in the state of autophagy and fasting. So your body doesn't even produce those ketones until you get into a fasted state after like 15 hours, 17 hours. So your brain isn't even functioning at its optimal performance. That's why you see a lot of, I think maybe if you watch my podcast the other day, Dr. Mindy was on, and she was actually being interviewed by another person who has, dropped 150 pounds, and it was all started from intermittent fasting. And they both, at the beginning of their interview, were talking about, they were both in the 19 hours. They both knew that they were coming on for a 3-hour interview. So they stayed in their they wanted to make sure they were in the 19-hour fasting window, because at night, at the 19th hour, and try it yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Even watching doctors, you don't have to take their word for it. Try it for yourself. My sister did this the other day, and she called me immediately, and she didn't even realize that it was her 19th hour in her fast. She didn't know anything about that part, but she called me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to explain it, but my body is like I'm feeling like so alive and I'm feeling so alert, and I have this like euphoria feeling about me." And she had been in her fasting. I said, "Well, how long?" And we finally figured out that she was in her 19th hour. It is incredible how you feel. The way your brain works, the way your body feels. Most of us have probably never felt that, like, ever, on a natural state. No drugs, no alcohol, no anything ingested, just your body working at its optimal performance. And she was just like, "I'm so like you." She's a creative, she's a musician, and she is just like, "I'm firing on all cylinders right now." And that's at the 19th hour. And what he's saying is your body doesn't feed, your brain doesn't process and work at its optimal level from fatty fats that you get from food. It's in your ketone state. And you cannot get to that ketone state until you are fasted at least 15 hours. Then your body starts working 13 hours to 15 hours, depending on your particular body. But that's when it goes into that ketone state. And that's when your brain starts operating in a space and your body is feeling these things that it doesn't normally feel on a normal basis. And it is impressive. It is like powerful. I know he just kind of breezed over that, but I just want to make sure you understood like what he's talking about when he said those words about how your brain best operates.
Acids as well as ketones, especially for your brain. Your brain can't run on fatty acids. It runs on ketones. So just think about this. You're not going to feel really good in your head when you start doing fasting, simply because it takes a while to develop ketones. So in the meantime, what you could do is take MCT oil, or you can take ketone supplements and get rid of those symptoms. However,
MCT oil is pretty much just like coconut oil. So you can take that. If you take a tablespoon of coconut oil, if you don't want to put it in your coffee, if you're not a coffee drinker or a tea drinker in the morning, if you don't put it in that, you can just take the tablespoon of coconut oil and the benefits that helps inside. It takes you into that ketone state a lot faster. It also curbs your hunger, your appetite some people might have when they first wake up, to keep them in a fasted state for longer. So you remember, you want a bare minimum 13 hours. Bare minimum 13 hours. So the MCT oil is coconut oil. That's what he's on about.
May not feel good mentally at first, but then you start adapting and your appetite goes away and you feel good. That's a really good indication that you've adapted. Okay, so if you're doing this gradual, okay, there's always going to be a transition phase where you're going to have to go through something that's going to be uncomfortable. But just realize, push through that. Like you might have hunger pains, you might feel a little bit kind of off, but then if you push through that, that will go away because your body is forced to adapt to this new method of burning fuel. There's no other shortcuts other than just pushing through that sometimes. So at some point, going from intermittent fasting to prolonged fasting, you're going to have to go through a little bit of this transition. It's normal. It's not abnormal. I'm just letting you know before you go through it.
He's saying the transition of your hunger pains, like knowing when you're actually hungry and when you're not, and telling your body, if you can look down and you have fat somewhere, you've got fat, belly, hips, thighs, arms, wherever, you are not starving and you're okay. So you just have to tell your brain, I'm good. Feed what I already have. I already stored all this up for you. Feed on that. And I'll get back to you once I hit my 19 hours or my 17 hours or 15 hours, wherever you're at with your fasting. Look down if you've got something there. If you don't, and you have an eating disorder or something, an eating issue that you are working on with your doctor, talk to them. Let them know you want to do these fasts that get your body in a better state. You want to be healthier. Speak to them and let them guide you on your journey. But if you've got fat to lose, which if you're paying attention to this and you're invested in learning about the intermittent fasting, then you're definitely somebody who's tired of being overweight, feeling sluggish, feeling tired, exhausted, moody, irritable, all the things that come along with the food, and you're ready to make that change. Those are the people who are going to be invested in this. And people that are fighting cancer, in remission of cancer, or just simply don't ever want to get cancer. We all have them dormant in our bodies. Let's do what we can that it never becomes active. And prolonged fasting is the way to do that. Let's dive back in.
It so you can not be freaked out about it. But when I say don't eat if you're not hungry, eat when you're hungry, I'm mainly talking about doing intermittent fasting. But when we get into prolonged fasting, should you eat when you're hungry? No, actually, we're going to just push through that to the other side. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of a little point I want to bring up. Now, since we're on the topic of fasting, I think it'd be very important for you to learn a little bit more about how to speed up the process, and that would be how to make insulin more sensitive. So you should watch this video right here.
So insulin.
Let's talk about the 7 things.
Insulin resistance is what happens when you have been feeding your body constantly, and it's not had any time. Like your insulin, your sugar level is just boom. It's just been up here, stays up here. You're not giving it any time to do anything different but stay revved up. Those are pre-diabetics, diabetics, people that have all these ailments going on, inflammation in their body. You're keeping your body inflamed from keeping it in a stressed out stage. And it's in a stressed out stage because you're not giving it enough time to heal itself. It's really, if you're a logical minded person and you break down and you dive into the logics behind it, it makes sense. It really does. Your body stays stressed out. So it's releasing that cortisol. So it's releasing this inflammation. And now you're inflamed all over the place. You got all these ailments that are plaguing you. And you're taking all these prescriptions to deal with it. When really your body is totally capable on its own to fix those issues. It doesn't need anything else. It just needs you to stop putting food in there. It really comes down to that simplicity. It can fix itself. It is so powerful and strong, our bodies. That's why the old saying of treat your body as a temple. You wouldn't go and just like completely destroy the inside of a temple, sledgehammer the temple. No, you would treat it with respect and honor. That's the way you got to think about your gut, your body, your biodome in there, your microbes. You got to keep it nice and clean and tidied up. And you can't do that and you keep throwing all the crap. Doesn't mean you can never eat chips or French fries again. No, it doesn't. Doesn't mean that at all. It means stop eating it constantly throughout the day and not giving your body a break. Your system just needs a little break to process it all before you keep throwing more stuff back down in there. So that's kind of where he's at with this. This is talking about the breakdown of insulin and what is insulin in your body, why people that are diabetic or even pre-diabetic, this is the topic for you. This next 3 minutes and 30 some odd seconds. This is for anybody that is pre-diabetic or diabetic. You want to learn more about what that insulin is or what you're going in your body, or anybody who's taken the Moderna or whatever the shots for, the diabetic shot for losing weight. This is what's going on inside of your body right now. 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Let's go.
That can make you more insulin sensitive. Now, what does that mean, insulin sensitive? Well, to understand it, you have to understand the opposite of that, which is insulin resistance. And that's a situation where your cells, the receptor for insulin, is blocking insulin. So it's not allowing insulin to go into the cells. So we don't have the function that insulin should have normally. So then the body doesn't get the signal, so it starts putting more and more and more insulin out. So sometimes you have between 7 and 9 times the amount of insulin in your body because of insulin resistance. And insulin is very, very important, not just in regulating blood sugars, but also in helping you absorb nutrients and keeping insulin at a normal level. So like I said before, the more insulin resistance you have, the more insulin you're going to have, the more problems you're going to have. You're going to gain weight. In the presence of insulin, you can't lose weight, and your body's going to be storing and converting carbs into fat. So what we want to do is we want to reverse this and improve insulin resistance by making insulin more sensitive, okay? And these are the things that will help you. Resistance training. So this is the type of workout that you'd want to do to get the maximum results. And I put a link down below.
Let's just make this clear real fast. The images that he's showing is just images. You do not need to be going into the gym and pushing like massive amounts of weight in like chest presses. That's not what he's saying. Resistance training is anything that activates the muscle. So it's not just walking and it's not just jogging or running. It's actually utilizing and isolating the muscles. So like I do my band workouts with the resistant bands, resistant training, resistant bands. So placing them around your wrists and doing outward motions, or how I do it with my triceps, or putting it around your legs and while you're sitting in a chair. You can be sitting at work, you can be sitting at home. While you're sitting there, put those bands around right above your, maybe like 4 inches above your knees, and do press outs. That's going to stimulate your circulation on your lower half of your body. If you have issues with circulation, your feet go cold, your hands go cold, you have sciatica, you've got poor circulation, you get the gout, you get lower back issues. If you put those bands 4 inches above your kneecaps, right, while you're sitting down at your desk, and you just swing those knees out and back in, out and back in, and you do that periodically while you're sitting there, you're going to stimulate so many positive things in your body. Circulation first, to start moving all that junk that's inside, the lactic acid, all the stuff that's built up inside, the toxins, out, pump it up into your heart and out of your system. But how does it get out? What is it? Water. Exactly. Drinking that water while you're doing those workouts at your desk, at your house, on the couch, on a chair. Anytime you can do it while you're sitting, there's no excuses. Putting those resistant bands that I've posted up so many times on my page, $7, $8 for a whole bag of resistant bands. putting them around above your knees and just doing that gets that circulation going, gets that blood pumping, gets those muscles activated. And now you're in strength resistance. So now you're building those muscles. And that is what he's talking about to help you with your insulin. It's all correlated, but you don't have to go like what he showed a picture of was just an example into a gym and be doing all this like crazy. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as activating the muscles, maybe doing stand up and sit downs, just like that. You're at your desk. You want to stand up and sit down. You want to stand up and sit down, just like this. Very simple. I'm going to do this over and over until I'm done, right? So until I feel like I need a little rest, and then keep plugging away at your computer or at work or whatever, you're watching a show, do that through a commercial break. And now you're doing muscle work, right? And that's the key. Just little bits, just cycling in throughout your day. You don't have to say, okay, I'm going to take this big block of time and I have to schedule this big block of time and go into something that I'm not really quite sure of. It's something so simple like that. Just starting with those little things. And I talked about Tabata yesterday, which is 8 different rounds, 20 seconds push, 10-second rest. So you're only doing 20 seconds of something and then a 10-second rest. And then 20 seconds is another thing and then a 10-second rest. 4 minutes, that's it, and then done. We're going to start that challenge together, starting up on the new year. So I really do hope that you guys join in. Make sure you subscribe on the page at Kara Chris TV so we can do it together, because it will change your body shape and change your mental and your focus and everything with just the 4 minutes a day for 4 days out of the week for 4 weeks. I'm telling you. But something simple like that will get you there. Let's continue.
Well, to give you more data on this type of workout. However, you can actually do long walks, which also will help, but this is actually more powerful. Okay, number 2, fasting will improve insulin sensitivity. At the very minimum, you want to fast for 16 hours with an 8-hour eating window, because the body's not depending on glucose anymore. It is burning your own fat. And so it's giving the pancreas a chance to heal and work correctly. All right, number 3, decrease inflammation. So if you get rid of inflammation, you make insulin more sensitive. And I put a link down below of all the things that you can do to reduce inflammation. But of course, fasting will be the biggest trigger, but you can also do vitamin D as well. Reducing glucose will make insulin sensitive again, and that's the low-carb diet. That's the healthy keto. All right, number 5, increasing sleep. Increasing sleep will do several things. Number 1, it reduces stress. It reduces this hormone cortisol. You will also be fasting when you're sleeping. And people that don't get enough sleep have blood sugar issues, mainly because of the spike in cortisol. So that leads us to number 6, decreasing stress and cortisol. Cortisol actually releases sugar from your liver. So it's going to spike sugar. It will also turn your muscles into sugar and create insulin resistance. So the opposite of that, keeping cortisol low, will make insulin more sensitive. All right, number 7, vegetables. And I'm talking about the fiber, which is consumed by the microbes. These microbes eat the fiber. They make this thing called butyrate, which improves insulin resistance and makes insulin more sensitive. So those are the 7 things. And there's some additional things too: apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, omega-3, vitamin D. And if you're having the question, what is the difference between making insulin more sensitive and fixing insulin resistance? There's really no difference. They're the exact same thing. But if you want some additional information about insulin resistance, check it out on this screen right here.
Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about, the circadian rhythm, because I think that is like super important to know about. And there's just like a little quick blurb from a doctor. Let me see where I put her. These are, again, on my playlist. So let me show you where to go. I don't know if you can see. Can you see this on my page? Let me see. Let me see what you can see. Okay, so no. You're going to right here where it says playlists, okay? And then you're going, the very first playlist is podcast infovids. And that's where you're going to open up.
Today I want to show you
I'm going to go to that right away. And then let's see, the ones that I'm showing you today are the most recent podcast videos are going to be at the very bottom. So you scroll all the way down to the bottom. So this one is talking about the circadian rhythm.
So fascinating to me was this concept that circadian misalignment can really affect the utilization of certain substrates, whether it's proteins, fats, carbohydrates. I'm curious, when we think about circadian rhythm, please correct me, the major influences are light, food, and activity.
Yeah.
Is there anything else major, maybe temperature or?
Light and food are more direct.
Okay.
Temperature can be indirect. For example, nighttime temperature, if it is high, then you may not sleep well, and that will affect your mood and other stuff the next day.
What about, where does exercise fall into the stimulus of circadian rhythms?
Yeah, so exercise is both an output and also entrainer. And that means there is an optimum time for us to do exercise.
Sleep affects everything. How much we eat, which foods we crave, how much fat we lose or don't lose. It's an amazing topic, and we are happy to share this knowledge with you. Insufficient sleep, linked to weight gain. But why? So, insufficient sleep is associated with weight gain. When we hear that something is associated with weight gain, we often think of some evil biological mechanism causing mischief in our bodies, resulting in less calories burned. But more often than not, the reasons behind such associations are found in subconscious changes in our behavior. Remember the consequences of being dehydrated or intoxicated with alcohol from step 2? Being sleep deprived has very similar effects. People who sleep less.
Okay, he just said being sleep deprived acts the same in your body as being hungover from too much alcohol or dehydrated. So add sleep deprivation on top of those things that someone might already be experiencing, and you're tripling down on bad. That's wild. You think sleep is just, oh, I didn't get enough sleep last night. Oh, well, I'm going to keep going. You don't think what that lack of sleep just did to your insides. And I was reading this study the other day. It says one night of bad sleep, right? For one night of bad sleep, it takes your body a week to recover from one night of bad sleep. And by bad sleep, it means you got less than 8 hours. Like I never put I'm a night owl. Well, I was before kids, but even with kids, I would stay up late and then get up early with them because they get up early no matter what. And I never really thought about anything, but I was also in a space of getting sick. Anytime they got sick, I was sick, and it might hit me for a little bit longer because I'm older. And so my body is longer to recover, but I never for a second thought, even though I would be taking my vitamins and eating pretty well, depends on the time of year and what year it was, whether I was eating healthy or not. But definitely the older I've gotten and the more I've started to learn about these things, I don't want, and I'm in the age of people getting, colon cancer or any type of cancer, really. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen to my body. And there's so many studies showing that you don't get those things if you just eat like this. But this is saying your circadian rhythm even has something to do with it. Even if you're eating healthy and eating in a good space, you can still be affected just because you didn't get 8 hours of sleep. Like lack of sleep could mean the same inside of your body as being so it's almost like because you got lack of sleep, now your body is in this hungover state inside, like you've been drinking alcohol all night. So it's like your body's going through something without all the fun. You didn't get to have all the fun and all the memories. If that's the case, if that's where you were in your space, if you're able to do that, and alcohol isn't an issue, obviously, but I don't drink like that. So I'm not in college anymore.
Have an increased appetite and thus eat more at the end of the day. On average, sleep deprivation led people to overeat about 180 to 560 calories per day compared to those with a normal sleep schedule. Oof. Restricting your sleep also leads to unhealthier food choices. You might develop cravings, especially for more sugary and fatty foods. So not only will you eat more when sleeping less, you will also make worse food choices. However, just 2 weeks of sufficient sleep is enough to reduce food cravings. Is eating more and making worse food choices all there is to insufficient sleep? Unfortunately, there is more. Insufficient sleep. Our body composition suffers. Why is body composition important? Did you know you could be overweight with a BMI below 25? Overweight can also be defined by a body fat percentage, which is more accurate than just looking at the BMI. For women, a body fat percentage over 33%, and for men, a body fat percentage over 20% is defined as overweight. With body fat percentages in the overweight category, chances are that the excess fat takes a toll on your health. What does sleep have to do with any of this? Quite a lot, in fact. In a study, people were put on a calorie deficit, with one group getting sufficient sleep and the other forced to be sleep deprived. The differences were stunning. For the group getting enough sleep, 80% of their weight loss was indeed fat loss. For the sleep deprived group, it was reversed. Only 20% of their weight loss was fat loss, and 80% was fat-free mass loss.
This is the first. I only saw the first 45 seconds of this, and I already knew from all the diagrams and the way it was laid out that it was going to be something that had vital information. So I'm reviewing this the first time with you, and this is a doctor showing these studies that were done for people that were sleep deprived and people that had their 8 hours of sleep. That is a huge number, you guys. Freaking 80-20. That's what I tell people about when they're working out, and then they're like, I'm working out. I see my body getting stronger and shaping up, but the needle's not moving very much. I'm like, yeah, well, 80%, big number, 80% is what you put in your mouth. So that's a big part of the pie, just like this. 80% of the people with their same diet, 80% got into fat loss. 80% of them lost fat, opposed to same diet, they only lost 20% fat. So these people lost 80% fat with this diet, and the other people only lost 20%, same diet. The only thing was lack of sleep. Talk about mind-blowing. I love studies. I love hard facts, and that I will not ever show you guys anything that isn't backed by facts, by doctors, by studies that are out there.
Being sleep deprived can practically ruin your weight loss efforts. Sleep quality, light pollution, and circadian rhythm. Not only sleep duration, also sleep quality is important. Evening and nighttime light exposure can negatively impact your sleep quality. If your bedroom is bright enough to see across the room, this light pollution can disrupt your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. Now, the circadian rhythm is a biological mechanism that directly affects how your body processes calories. A properly synchronized circadian rhythm can help you burn more calories, improve your cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood sugar levels.
Wow.
Best practices. Synchronize your circadian rhythms. Most bodily functions follow a daily cycle. Body temperature, pancreas activity, microbiome bacteria count, and many more. Some of these functions are synchronized not by light exposure, but by food intake. We will create a video on this topic in the future. For now, here are the most important steps to synchronize your circadian rhythms. Number 1.
Interesting. So, like most people talk about, the circadian rhythm is directly linked to your light intake. So your body's equipped to know when you wake up is because the sun woke you up. And when it's dark out, you go to sleep. You're not meant to be eating past dark and your body's going into a shutdown mode when it's dark out, and your circadian rhythm, you start to produce melatonin in your body so it can help you sleep. So this is interesting that he just said your circadian rhythm starts from when you eat, which if you're in this fasting stage is going to be a lot different than when the sun comes out, because most of us aren't eating breakfast. Interesting. Let's dive back in. I just had to hammer that thought home right there.
Wake up at the same time. Here are the most
Sometimes these doctors, these things that I pull up, they breeze past things. They're saying it like matter-of-factly, like we should know that. But if you're like me and you're learning along the way with the circadian rhythm and diving deep into how our body is supposed to function with the feast and famine and intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting, we're learning along the way. So sometimes now I know the knowledge as a nutritionist. They don't teach you a whole lot of this stuff. So I'm diving in on my own. Now that I'm learning about it, I know, but I want you to also know these little things that they're breezing past is actually very important to know.
most important steps to synchronize your circadian rhythms. Number 1. Wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekend. Number 2. Try to go outdoors in the morning for early light exposure. Number 3. Eat breakfast early and at the same time every day, even on the weekend. Number 4. Don't eat after 7 p.m. Number 5. Avoid strong light exposure in the evening.
So hold on. Sorry, I know I keep pausing. But this is what I also was learning from Dr. Mendy, who I also follow, because she is all about trying to shout from the mountaintop. She's a doctor who has gone against the grain, gone against the corporate world, not going to be pushing meds when your body can heal itself, that type of thing, more holistic approach, even though she was in that corporate world before, but she just got tired of all the corruption. So she left. And since then, she's been trying to shout from the mountaintops about how you guys don't need this. Please just heed the warning and listen to your bodies, and this is how you do it. And it's gone into the feast and famine, the intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting realm. But she's even saying with your circadian rhythm, like, come on, 80-20, that's just crazy anyway. Your body can burn 80% fat if you get 8 hours of sleep, or it can only burn 20 hours of fat, 20% fat if you've got less than 8 hours of sleep. That's mind-blowing, first off. Second, she really talks about eating in the sunlight hours. So shifting. So those of you like me, I have my clock is later because I want to try and eat with my family at dinner. So my husband doesn't get home from work at a certain time. We're all going to sit down and have a meal together. I think it's important to do that as a family. No electronics at the table is a very big house rule for us. That's our time to catch up and talk and connect. And it's later in the evening. It's 6:30, 7 o'clock. But you have to shift during the times of the season, is how she's saying, eating for the season. So, in the totally fine because the sun 9 o'clock. It shifts to winter. You should shift your eating pattern to eating early in the morning, and then your dinner is maybe at like 5 o'clock. Shifting it to the sun and shifting it to your circadian rhythm, because now you're meant to sleep more. You're meant to hibernate, but to get up earlier in the wintertime and sleep. So your whole body is a seasonal shift. So when the sun starts shifting, so does your circadian rhythm, and so should your eating pattern. So that's what they're saying about like the optimal performance for your body is shifting in that sun to dawn era. It's really fascinating.
Number 6. Keep your bedroom as dark as possible. Best practices. Sleep duration. The optimal sleep duration lies between 7 and 8 hours. It should not be less than that. Unfortunately, you cannot catch up on sleep. Sleeping less during the weekdays and more on the weekend will disrupt your circadian rhythm. That's like going through a 1 to 2 hour jet lag every weekend. The solution is not sleeping less on the weekend, but getting sufficient sleep every day of the week. It's worth it.
It is.
Best practices. Improve sleep quality. Sleep conditioning. Here are some tips to improve your sleep quality by using sleep conditioning. Number 1. Go to bed only when you are sleepy. It does not make sense to lie in bed with your phone until you finally get sleepy. Number 2. Only use your bed for sleep, not for reading, working, etc. Your brain will be conditioned to associate your bed with going to sleep. This will boost your sleep quality and help you fall asleep faster. Number 3. If you can't fall asleep within 15 to 20 minutes or so, get up, leave the bedroom and don't go back until you feel sleepy again. Repeat as necessary. Number 4. Get up at the same time every morning, no matter how little sleep you had. Especially on the weekends, we tend to go to bed later and wake up later. Try to keep the same schedule over the week as far as possible.
It's wild that he's talking about that for, let's see what number that is. Only use your bed for sleeping. You might want to use your bed for something also other than sleeping. Maybe just not for reading, working, etc. But sometimes reading a book helps you remind to shut down and go to sleep. But I get what he's saying. You're trying to put the association that your brain, because it's so articulate and so amazing, that it adapts, right? So it's going to adapt to your situation. So if it knows, hey, there's the bed, I'm coming in here because I'm going to sleep, it gives you that rhythm of time to quiet down and go to sleep. So when you're teaching, they say when you're punishing a kid too, right? Like you don't punish a child by saying, you're going to go to your room, or you're going to, so whatever the thing is that is associated with something important, then your child starts to think when we're going in their room, you're in trouble, or you're and it releases automatically a stress hormone. When you're trying to punish a child and they associate it with what you're punishing it for. So every time that thing is introduced into their life, a stress hormone is released, whether they know about it or not, whether they understand what's happening or not, they associate that space with stress because that's what the punishment is involved with. So, same concept he's saying. As an adult, don't go into your room and lay there in your bed and you're not ready for sleep. Like go to your bed for sleep when you're ready to fall asleep. A lot of people, like my son, my husband, they like to sleep with the TV on, which, is not great. But there are settings on most TVs now that will do nighttime settings. So it takes the light down really dim. So really it's just a noise thing at that point. I've gotten into a habit, which I love now, and I've always loved, but I'm trying to bring it back in, is candlelight. The candlelight is so soothing. It's so calming. It's not that bright, irritable light. And it really does help set my mind into a calm space to where it can wind down, especially when someone like me is like a million pots going at the same time at all hours. All cylinders are on a go, high alert. So it's nice at night to have a candle lit, have this like nice dim lit environment, and then let my body wind down and stop having that phone or laptop in my face. It's very, very important. It's amazing how intricate your body is and your mind with allowing you to like get there in the sleep, how quickly you can create that pattern for yourself if you try these steps on getting better sleep. Lack of sleep for the average person is very high in number. I think it's like 1 in 5. At 1 out of every 5 people that you ever see in your day around you, 1 out of every 5 people don't sleep, don't have a sufficient sleep schedule. It might be 1 in every 3. I have to look that back up, but it's high. It's a high number. So that's why this is so important, like the whole sleep thing.
Your body will get used to this schedule and make things easier for you.
Which makes sense. If sorry, I'm going to chime back in on that. which makes sense of how obese our country is, because we're constantly on our phones. It's a digital world. We're constantly like surfing internet things. Like people got there's so many funny posts. Like, if you're scrolling through shorts on whatever it is, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, it's constant. It's constant. You can constantly be engaged with something 24/7. So it's really hard to get that habit down unless you really enforce it on yourself, because it's so important. And why should it be so important? Because your body can only burn 20% fat in its day, opposed to 80% fat just from sleep deprivation. So why wouldn't you want to switch that up if you're trying to get better and get healthier? If you're totally comfortable and fine being overweight, moody, sluggish, irritable, all those things, inflamed, on your way to getting some type of, serious ailment, sickness, cancer, whatever, what have you, then you do that. Keep doing what you're doing then. But if not, pay attention to your
Best practices. Improve sleep quality, sleep hygiene. We have even more tips on how to enhance the quality of your sleep. Exercise regularly. This will make your body tired in the evening so that you can fall asleep faster. Avoid caffeine, nicotine and alcohol before bedtime. All of these substances can impair your sleep quality tremendously. Try to have at least 4 hours of separation between the consumption of any of these substances and bedtime. Go for low glycemic whole plant foods for dinner, legumes, whole grains and non-starchy vegetables. Establish a relaxing bedtime routine. There are some good and bad habits that might influence your sleep quality. If you want to learn more about a good evening routine, let us know. If you want to improve your sleep quality but feel overwhelmed by all these tips, start with something easy that does not require much effort. For example, get some blackout curtains, take a morning stroll, or avoid alcohol in the evening. Next week, we will post a video on the connection between stress and weight gain. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.
Let me see if I subscribed. Let's see. Nerdtritionists. That's pretty funny, actually. So, yeah, let's go over to something that I wanted to show you guys, which was about the product. So the thing that I wanted to post up the other day,
So fascinating to me was this concept.
my bad, that I found. Let me stop sharing this, and I'm gonna go to over here. I'm gonna share screen share. I'm gonna share my Amazon. Here it is. Okay. Let me see if you guys, can you see this? Let me see what you see. Yeah. Let me go back over here. Okay. So let me take this thing off. This is the thing that I was talking about that is the monitor for your glucose and the ketones. So this, let me see, Keto Mojo, that's it. This is something that you can, it's like a little needle prick. It kind of pricks the tip of your finger. And if you've ever had a blood test done at a doctor, this is kind of how they check your blood tone. They put it on a little strip of some sort, or they catch it in a vial and then they run it through the testing. But you can do it at home and check to see what your glucose levels and what your ketone levels, when you know you're in optimal fat burning stage. You can do this test on yourself at home. And if you're pre-diabetic, this is something really great to have anyway, to check what your glucose level is after you've eaten food. There's a whole diagram, a whole chart in there. It even links to an app in your phone, and it will keep track of what foods you ate, how it's affecting your body, what your glucose level is, meaning how it sent your insulin up or down. And then you can kind of start catering to your own body's specific needs for what is good and what is not. What might spike my insulin might not spike your insulin. What spikes yours might not spike mine, you know? So knowing what the foods you eat, poking yourself to give that test, see where your body's at. And when you're doing these prolonged fasts, see how many ketones, how quick your body is in these ketones. You might get there a lot faster than someone else. You might take a little bit longer to get into ketone state. Maybe somebody takes 16 hours, but maybe you take 19 hours that you need to be in a fasted state to hit that ketone space. And the ketone space is when your body is producing ketones, which gets your mental into like hyper clarity. It's when your body starts doing autophagy, it starts cleaning out all those dead and bad cells and forcing it into your good cells. It's also when you're in the space of ridding out all of the inflammation, resetting your biodome, all of those great things. But it gets to the space where you're in your ketones, producing that euphoria hormone that makes you feel so good and alive. But you can't get there until then. So knowing when your body is in ketosis is very important. But this machine does it. It's a little handheld machine, and it connects to your phone as an app, so you can start to learn what the gauge is for you on every single food. When you're eating a certain food that you love and you're not understanding why your body's not into ketosis yet, is because that certain food is producing so much insulin in your body that it's not able to get there. Your glucose is going way up. So this is something that is important to have. I think it's on, what is this? $49.99. Is this the one with the, yep, free app for ketosis and diabetes management, 20 blood strips. So this one has where you it gives you a little finger prick. You put the blood on the tip of it, and then you put the little strip into the end, and it'll read your glucose and your ketones at the same time and give you a little chart on that. Let's flip through and see what it does. Let me see if there's a video. Here's a video. Let's see if we can watch it.
Mr. Mojo here, and we're going to take you through a testing demonstration with your GK Plus Keto Mojo meter. First, prepare your materials. We've got our meter, our glucose strip, our ketone strips, our lancet device, and one-use lancet. And we're going to do this with a alcohol pad to prepare the area, or you can wash your hands at home to get them nice and clean. So, here we go. We're going to wash my area first. Get that ready.
Love a good
The reason why I do this first is I want the alcohol to dry off whilst I'm preparing my other materials. I'm going to prepare my lancet device. I'm going to open up the top, place the lancet in, twist off the cap and save that for later. Place the lancet in like so. Set it to my depth, which is 3 for me. And I'm going to open up my glucose strip by just tearing the strip like so. And pulling off the strip like that, put that ready for later. Opening up my ketone strip like so. And pulling out the strip and getting that ready like so.
So you know which area to put them in.
Now, we pull back on the handle, set it in position, fire just like that. And you can gently massage, you'll see it just coming up there almost on its own. And you have a lovely little sample like that. So with the first droplet, you want to wipe that away because that has interstitial fluid into it. Ooh. And it's usually the second that comes on up. And you can gently massage that so you can have a bead, roughly about the size of half a matchstick head, like that is perfect. Then we will place our glucose strip in the meter, and it will have the droplet icon flashing, and with the super sip, it will just suck up the top like that.
Wow.
And within 5 seconds, we will get our glucose measurement. Excellent. A little bit elevated, 92, but I'll take that. Use a hygienic ejector to eject it away. And then we will place our ketone measurement.
This is so cool. I did not know it worked that quickly. And that's interesting that they're saying don't use the first droplet of blood to wait, and use the second drop, because it's not going to get a good read. Interesting. Didn't know that part. Oops. Go back. Hit play.
In there, It'll automatically recognize it. The droplet icon is flashing. And then using the super sip technology, we will sip off the top like so. And in 10 seconds, we will have our measurement. 2.5.
Wow.
Really nice on the ketones.
Yeah.
Now that you've completed your test, you can dispose of the strip. I take my sharps container like this, and I use the injector on the back there to move it out, nice and easy. And now I want to make sure that I safely dispose of my sharp. I open up the top. I use the ejector here on the side to bring it out.
Wow.
I
Those are good.
safe it like so.
You must be
and
in
place it in my sharps container.
20-hour fasting state.
And now we've completed our test.
And now we've completed our test.
All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Keto Mojo blood glucose monitor. This thing is really nice. It's going to monitor your blood sugar, your glucose, and it's also going to monitor your
I mean,
keto.
look at, there's so many videos.
Okay, I need to share it.
People are getting on board.
This Keto Mojo Bluetooth glucose and ketone testing kit is a game changer for anybody wanting to do the ketogenic diet, whether you're trying to manage your diabetes or an autoimmune condition like myself. This meter has been a game changer in keeping status on my healing journey. Now, I actually have two of these things. This is one of my meters, and I also have the entire kit right here. So I want to show you what you get when you get the kit. You get this nice little bag that it comes in, and it's great to travel with. I literally take this thing everywhere I go. If it's conveniently in a carry-on or your suitcase, your purse even, you can throw it in any bag. Sometimes I actually lose it because it's so small and convenient. But when you open it up here, you get not only the GKI meter, which is connected to Bluetooth. So I'm going to tell you about the app in a moment. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I actually want to see the app. So I'm going to fast forward it. We already saw how to use it. So I'm going to fast forward it to the app. Let's see if it talks about it right here.
FDA approved meter, which not a lot of meters out there are all FDA approved. This has a plus or minus of 10 to 12 accuracy. So it's not lab accurate, but it's pretty dang close. For on the market, I'm not sure you're going to find a better one out there. But it also comes with a free downloadable app that you can connect to your GKI meter so that you can know all the trends, your average glucose readings, your average keto readings, how often you are actually in ketosis, all the parameters you want to know on your journey. This is the best thing that'll try for you, and it's free. So I love that aspect of it. A lot of people, I think, go into the ketogenic diet are not in ketosis at all. That's why I think these meters are like a must on your journey, at least to check once a day or every few days to know where you're at and things are going. But I'll show you here on the app. You can log in, and basically this meter can hold up to 1,000 readings. So it can remember 1,000 readings, and then that'll connect to your app, and it'll store it all there so you can check all your trends. So hopefully, whether you're doing this for weight loss,
I mean, high praise on this one, right? It's something that I feel like is so important because so many people don't know when they're in ketosis or not. So it's actually, they think that they're in that fat burning stage because they've, fasted for 15 hours. I know many of my clients that I've learned from this kind of product is not every client is created equally when it comes to just because you've hit your 15 hours of fasting or 13 hours of fasting or 17 hours of fasting. It doesn't mean that you're in the same amount of ketones, if at all, than the other person. It all depends on your insulin resistance. How resistant is your insulin? How long have you been in an obese, overweight, high sugar, processed food status? So everybody's a little bit different from when you hit ketosis. So this device is really cool because it helps you understand when are you actually in ketosis, what hour of the day, and that's going to change. The more you're doing your prolonged fast, the more you're doing your fasting in general, intermittent fasting, it's going to change. So you might be starting out on your journey right now and you're not hitting ketosis until 19 hours of a fast, but maybe because you don't know that, you never hit ketosis. Your body is never, and when I'm saying ketosis, it means your body is not in that fat burning state. It's not using your fat for fuel. until you're in ketosis. So let's just say, okay, you got 13 hours, you're doing your 13-hour fast, right? Or a 14-hour fast. From the time you ate dinner to the next time you're eating is between 13 and 15 hours. And then you're eating again. You never let your body get into ketosis. So your body is it never started burning the fat for fuel. So all of this intermittent fasting is not working. It's not going to be working for you in the way that you might want it to, which is burning that fat, using that fat for fuel, and being in all of those amazing states. It all starts with ketosis, for your brain to be clear, for your body to be optimal running, for your body to be releasing all of the positive benefits. And if it's not in ketosis, then you're not doing it right. So these is really important to know, because you wouldn't know unless you either had the pea strips, which there are strips that are like $10, $11 on Amazon that you can get. You can even go into a lot of grocery stores or convenience stores now have those strips. You pee on them, and it'll show you the levels in your urine. It'll show you the level that it's at on the strip, and then you can compare it to the diagram that it has on the back and whether you're not in ketosis or not. I remember when I first started this journey and I just had the strips, I couldn't believe. I thought that I was in ketosis the whole time, but I wasn't at all. So all that time I thought I was doing in my fasting window, it wasn't even working. It wasn't even doing what it needed to do, because my insulin was so resistant because I had been eating bad for so long that it wasn't there yet. So I didn't know that unless I had the strips, the urine test strips, or a device like this that'll keep up. This is nice because it also checks the glucose. So you can literally eat your foods and then immediately check your glucose and see, is that food that you just ate, is that the problem? Then you can do like a process of elimination and start weeding out the stuff that is not helping you on your health journey. That's so powerful, right? I mean, it's worth the $50 to be able to know, hey, what's going on inside my body when I'm going down this journey isn't even productive. Why is it not working? Why am I not getting extreme benefits? Am I even in ketosis yet? So instead of doing all the guessing game, you can actually just do real-time readings and then learn right off the bat. I can't eat that. It spikes my glucose. I can't. I'm not going to break my fast right now because I'm not in ketosis yet. You'll already start to know, because this device will help you get there. Or you could make a bunch of doctor's appointments like, hey, I just ate. You think you can check my blood? Like, it's a no-brainer. And if you're on your journey into a healthier life from the inside out, and you really just want to know what's good for you and what's not, what's working and what isn't, this is a fantastic way to get there. So I'm going to put this link into the description. Let me see if I could put it in the chat. I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can have the link to this little system right here. So this is $49.99, and it comes with the strips already. And then let me see. It usually will tell you if you want to buy other strips or what have you. That one I really like only because, yeah, here we go. No, that's like a whole extra kit. You don't want that. Here's the strips. Keto Mojo test strips combo pack for use only with this meter. So this comes with 60 of each. So that's $60. So pretty much $30 a piece. $1 a strip is what it looks like it's coming down from. But if you put it in your cart and it goes on sale, then I'll look it up. I'll try and find other places that might have them on sale too. But this is a must-have. This is something I feel like it is super important to learn your body and how your body works. Let me see if I can put this in my cart so I can remember. Okay. So I put that in my cart so I can remember what the tag is for that one specifically to share. I like it because it has the app. Not all of them have that. And it's got high praise from people that, have used this and they're on the same type of journey. So the other one that I wanted to show you guys is, hold on one second, let me pull it up. Thank you, Bo. It's because I'm switching in and out. When I go over to pull the website up, it makes me a little bit blurry. So let me go over here, and the other one I want to show you is what in the heck noise is that? Oh, neighbors over playing the horn or flute or something like that downstairs. Let's see what this is. This is the one. So for those of you that are starting on this journey, let's see, this one is, let me show you the one I have. I mean, there's so many. You guys know, I already did a little post on this. So if you go to my page, you'll be able to see, this is the one I have. So if you go to my page, you're going to be able to see the me using this in real time, but I love this. Let me see if I can open it. You guys know I did a video on it. Let me share it with you guys. Come here, go back down, close this up. There, that thing. So this is what, $109 now, I think. Yeah. So it's on sale. It's $50 off. There's several ones. This one is the one where your head pops out. They have the ones where it goes all the way around, surrounding. But this one is so good for your circulation, for getting rid of all those toxins in your body, for ridding your body of that extra weight, water weight on your body. This is such a good detox and a flush. And this is what it looks like when you're sitting in it. That's what it looks like when you're sitting in it. Like if you still need to do work or you're on your phone, and then it has the pockets in the front that you can keep remotes or whatever. I put mine on while I'm watching a show, but I still have my phone available. So it's got the pockets right there. And it gets so hot and steamy so quickly, but a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes is so good for your body. It is good for your heart. It's good for your circulation. It's good for your lymphatic system. It's so good for overall well-being, your health. This is such a great product right here. Like, you can't go wrong with it being in your house, a nice little steam room. All of the things that are in it, that are like how you put it together. It took me like 15 minutes to assemble it. And it's really just like PVC pipe. It pops open like one of those pop open tents, but to keep it nice and sturdy, it has this like 3 sections that you put the PVC pipes through and just link them together. But it literally pops up in no time. And then you hook the tube from the little part that holds the water, the steamer part. You hook the tube into the tent underneath your chair. It just sits underneath your chair. You put fresh water in, some distilled water or some spring water. You put that in there and you set your time and you set your temperature and you're done. It has a little remote that you can change it up or down because it does get hot. I find that I can sit in there longer with the one with my head out rather than the one that's full encompassing. It's hot and steamy. It's really hot. It's like a lot of hot to breathe in. So if you're not comfortable, you don't like breathing that steam, you still get a little steam from this one because it does come up. Obviously, it rises out of the neck area, but you're not full submerged in it like the bigger ones, the bigger steam houses. And this is easier to store. Like, I can have it out when I'm like in my steam sessions, and then I'm done. I can throw it. I take the pipes out and I can throw it in the wash, or I can take it outside and wash it up because you sweat. I mean, you are super sweaty, but it doesn't like sink through the bottom of it because it's a waterproof material, almost like a tarp in the bottom. So you're not going to like soak your floor or anything if you're on carpet or anything like that. So it contains inside there. I'll take it into the shower and I can rinse it out real quick and then let it dry. But it's really super easy and convenient. It all breaks down and like stored away in a closet. And I can pull out and have a steam room whenever I want and not have to go anywhere for that and still get all those great benefits, especially if it's like during cold season right now. I have it out And it is so wonderful for flushing out all that, all the bacteria and all the infection and stuff. If you got a cold, flushing it all out, steaming it out, and then doing your intermittent fasting, just doing a prolonged fast, boom, it'll heal you right up. And I know all these kids bringing home all the funk from school. They just keep passing it around, sneezing on each other, wiping their nose like this, and then touching everything. And it's so germ infested, even though the teachers try their best to keep their kids with their nice, clean hands. But it's still, a kid can sneeze and hasn't learned already to cover their nose and, spreading the funk all around. So having one of these is so important to keep your body clean, and also the prolonged fast. So between those two, the prolonged fast, having this steam room, the portable steam room where you can steam out all the funk and all of the junk inside of your body that doesn't belong there, leave your body. That's through urine, through peeing it out, or sweating it out. So this is a surefire way that you're getting rid of all of those toxins in your body, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home for, not that much of if you're looking at like a steam room to be put into your house, you're looking at thousands of dollars. So this is something that, you can even take with you. You can pack it up if you wanted. It's portable. You can move it all around. It's really convenient. I've loved mine since I was gifted this. I've loved it. So I'm a huge advocate of the steam. It's good for your skin, good for your pores, good for your circulation, good for your heart. It is so important to be able to get those toxins out if you aren't able to sweat it out. When I was in my recovery for my injury, I would sit in this because it helped me get the toxins out of my body. It helped keep me in optimal shape and conditioning. It's like doing some sprints. It gets your heart rate up. So make sure your heart rate is good for these types of machines. If you're under surveillance with your doctor for your heart conditions, make sure you do check with them. Like, am I able to sit in a steam? Because it does get your heart rate up, but it is so good for heart conditioning. If you do have heart disease, these are really good for that. So maybe you can't do a full on like 60-minute steam, but you can do a 20-minute steam. And maybe you can't go all the way up to the 9 level. Maybe you can do it at the 5 level. It's catering to you. Slowly work your way up, but you're going to get a good sweat and a good steam. And it's so good for you. It's so important. So between this device and this system, and then the other device I showed you with the glucose and the ketone monitoring, you're well on your way. You are so set to being on track and keeping your body on track in an optimal shape. I cannot tell you. I will put the link for this and for the glucose thing into the text feed, into the chat feed once I'm done with the stream. So you guys can go and click on those links if you are interested in getting those things. It saves me in any realm, especially if I'm not able to work out or I have some type of ailment going on. If I'm not feeling well, I jump in that thing for a good half hour, put my show on, steam it out, and I feel immediately so much better. Make sure you're drinking your water because it does rid your body of all the water. You will be super dehydrated. But put that water back in so you're feeling good. Your organs are feeling good. You're getting all the infection out, especially at the start of a cold. I do it before my period, my menstrual cycle. I do it when I haven't had any good sweat workouts in. I sit in there for 30 minutes. It's like having a really intense, high intense and interval training sweat. I get my body circulating, my lymphatic system drained, so nothing's left to stay in there and cause havoc. You got to get it out. Sweat it out or pee it out. Either way, it has to come out. And when it stays in there, that's when it's in there to do the damage. And that's not what you want. That's not what we're on about here. We're on about living your best life from the inside out, totally and purely 100% all the way through. From your mind, your body, your spirit. You want to have it all cleansed, super cleanse. Super cleanse. That's what we're on about over here. The super cleanse of the mind, body, and spirit. And the best way to do that is by knowing what works for your body, what doesn't, keeping your glucose and your fasting in check, making sure that you're eating the right foods for your specific body type. All of those things matter, and getting enough sleep We learned today what your circadian rhythm, how all that affects your sleep. We learned how you're going to crush that cancer with those cancer cells, how to get into remission, how to get out of cancer if you already have been diagnosed with cancer. These are so powerful. If you guys didn't catch it, please do go back and watch it from the beginning. Watch this podcast from the jump. You will get so much great information. You will not be sorry. This is well spent time. So just put it on in the background, let it play in your ears. Just get that knowledge, and sharing is caring. Share it with anybody you know that is struggling right now. They're looking for a new thing, something new to do, something to get out of their situation that they're in, where they're just tired and in the funk, or fighting cancer, or they're just diagnosed with cancer. Let them hear these studies, this knowledge, these studies from multiple doctors, from decades of studies, all the way back into centuries of this being an effective way to stay in your healthiest light. If you know anybody that's struggling with diabetes, pre-diabetes, any kind of ailment, Parkinson's, any of the ailments, anything that they got going on in their body, please share this podcast. It is so filled with knowledge on how they can start helping themselves today without any extra money, without any extra things that they need, just by simply starting on that intermittent fasting journey. But to help you on your journey, if you guys have already started and you really want to know, is your body in ketosis? Is it actually burning the fat yet? When it's in ketosis, that's when it's burning that fat. Is it there yet? You'll know by doing these blood tests from that from the monitor that I took, the at-home monitor that's only $49.99. So I'm going to post those links up for you guys. Make sure you go check those out. I'm going to also share the link of the stories from the people that were diagnosed stage 4, stage 3 cancer, and they put their bodies 100% no more cancer just from doing the prolonged fasting. It's powerful. It's really powerful, and it's something that you should definitely want to know. Even if it's just for yourself and you're scared of getting cancer one day, this is the video for you. So thank you guys so much. I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you for being a part. Bo, Hal, thank you so much for coming and making sure everything's worked out and in perfect working order. I appreciate you guys. I hope that every time you come here on Behind the Layers, where we're discovering new things and keeping on top of the trends, I hope that you learn something new and there's something that's powerful in the messages that does help you to living your best life. So I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 1 o'clock. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.